Hello, I'm Dr. Bolanle, your host on the Bright Minds MD and your mental health podcast. Here, we discuss topics designed to explore the full spectrum of mental well-being. You'll hear from experts and listen to personal experiences that inspire and inform. So, whether you're seeking insights, solutions, or just a dose of motivation, this podcast is your perfect companion. Hit that subscribe button and join us on this incredible journey to mental well-being. Your whole health starts with your whole mind. Let's get started. All right, we are live. Good day, everyone listening. Of course, it's me again. I'm Dr. Bolanle Akinrambi, psychiatrist and founder at Bright Minds MD, a private practice in serving New Jersey and New York, where we help people with depression, anxiety disorders feel better and live better using fewer medications and wellness practices. And I have a treat for you today. As usual, I am excited. I have a molecular and cellular biologist with me today to tell you about something really cool I recently learned about. I have Dr. Banke Fagbemi with me today. I'm going to let her take a moment to introduce herself, and then I'm going to tell you about this cool product that she's going to be talking about that's really going to be very helpful for our population with depression. Dr. Banke, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Dr. Bolanle. I'm very pleased to be here. As she mentioned, I am actually a scientist, so a PhD doctor, not an MD doctor. I'm a scientist by training. I'm a molecular and cellular biologist. What that means, simply put, is I love DNA, all things that have to do with DNA, genomics, and the genome. I am currently the director of marketing for a clinical diagnostics startup company called Circular Genomics. And as she mentioned, we've just recently launched our first clinical test called the MindLight Antidepressant Response Test. So this is a very high level, and I know we're going to go into more detail, but this is a test that helps physicians identify which patients will respond to a common antidepressant, SSRI. So yeah, I'm here to talk about this great innovative test and why we've brought it to the market and how it can really help patients and physicians.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for taking the time. I find it very cool when we bring the science together with the clinical to help make people's lives better. Isn't that what we all show up to work to do, is to somehow impact lives, make people's lives better? So I think it's really cool that we're bringing science and the clinical together today to help people feel better in general ways. So real quickly, I know you had started to talk about this. What is this product, the MindLight Antidepressant Response Test? What is it?
So it's a blood test, first and foremost. It's a blood test. So a patient has to have their blood drawn to receive the test results. And simply put, it is a test that really helps physicians identify which of their patients are likely to respond to SSRIs, right? I'm sure a lot of your audience know that SSRIs are typically prescribed first line for patients with depression. So if a patient is diagnosed with major depressive disorder, and you're the doctor, so correct me if I'm wrong.
Of course, you're on track, we're on track.
Yes, but my understanding is that the current standard of care is that first line psychiatrists or primary care physicians tend to order the SSRIs for their patients. Patients try these drugs, and we know that a lot of it, honestly, is educated guessing, right? So right now in the space of mental health, you don't really have any test that will tell you, hey, this is the right drug to prescribe for your patient. So most of the time you're just prescribing SSRIs. Tell the patient, go and try this for a few weeks and come back and let's know how well you're responding to the drug. And we know from evidence and from the data that only about 40% of patients with depression actually respond to SSRIs. So what you have is more than half of the patient population trying a drug for weeks, not seeing any benefits, and very often suffering from side effects, right? So they try it for a few weeks, they come back, they see their doctor again, and the doctor asks them how their symptoms are, and it's, I'm not really getting better. And then you, the doctor, probably then decide to either maybe increase the dose or maybe switch to another medication or different things. And so what you have is this back and forth with up to 60% of the patient population spending weeks and maybe even months trying different drugs before they find the right one. And during that time experiencing a lot of side effects. So what is the MindLight test? So the MindLight test, again, back to that, is a blood test where we're looking at circular RNA biomarkers. So Our company is called Circular Genomics because we were started out of a lab that's highly focused on circular RNAs, right? So a lot of us know what DNA is, we know what RNA is, but many people don't know what circular RNAs are, right? Circular RNAs are RNAs that are really a circle. They're single-stranded, but they're a circle, and they're expressed abundantly in the brain. So they're expressed throughout the body, but excessively and abundantly in the brain. And a lot of research has been done that shows that circular RNAs have a very important function in brain development, brain maturation, in behavior, in mood. Many things that are taking place in the brain are controlled by these circular RNAs. And what's amazing about them is because of their size and their structure, they actually cross from the blood into the brain, blood-brain barrier, from the brain into the blood. So they cross the blood-brain barrier and you can detect them in the blood. So we do a blood test where we draw the patient's blood and measure the levels of this circular RNA in their blood. And based on how much of this particular circular RNA exists in the blood, we can predict which patients will respond to SSRIs and which ones will not. And so it's a blood test that will tell you within 3 to 5 days, the physician will get the result. And the result is very simple. It's going to say, A, this patient has a high likelihood to respond, in which case the recommendation is you prescribe SSRIs for them, or B, this patient is not likely to respond to SSRIs, in which case right away you can switch to another drug. And so in the patients that are not likely to respond, you've basically saved them months of back and forth and trial and error, and you've switched to whatever you would prescribe next. So that's very simple. There's a lot more to the science. There's a lot more going on there, but I think that's what the major point is and what this test is.
Wow. Interesting. So I want to just hit on that real quick. So what you're saying is that when you do the blood draw for this test, you measure levels of circular RNA, and based on the amounts, we can predict who's going to be a responder to SSRIs as a class. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Oh, wow. That is really cool. So we can know whether we should even bother with SSRIs or we should move on real quick.
Exactly.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. And just the next step question in my mind is, are we able to narrow down specific medications, or it would be the SSRI class as a group? Yes. I think that's another question I might ask as a patient if I'm thinking about this.
Yes, absolutely. And it's a great question. So for this first iteration of the test, it is as a group. So it's not specific to one SSRI over another. It's as a group. But we do have things in the pipeline, continuous studies going on where hopefully within a few months or within a year, we might launch another version of the test, which will tell you specific SSRIs, different SSRIs within the class. But for now, this is just across the class.
This is really cool, and you have no idea how I'm sure like people who are listening who had to take antidepressants or considering antidepressants will be excited, because yes, you do understand very well sometimes the stress that's involved in trying to figure out the right match for the right person who's going to be a responder, who's going to be a non-responder. And then sometimes, yes, it's true, we try for weeks to months, and then a person finds that they're not a responder, and now we have to switch to a different class of medication. So ideally, if this works as planned, we can know ahead of time whether to even bother with SSRIs, save some time, save some function, get people back to feeling better quicker and back to their work. That is really cool. And of course, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you. I think another thing that this really gives you both as a patient and as a provider is assurance, right? So very often, and you can again correct me if I'm wrong, but very often patients start to feel the side effects of these drugs before they even feel any response, right? And a lot of patients don't even adhere because they're like, you know what, I've been taking it for 2 weeks. I'm feeling all these side effects, but it's not even improving my symptoms, so I'm going to stop, right? But if you can tell a patient, listen, I've ordered a test for you that's telling me that you're likely to respond. And yes, it takes a while for you to see the effects of the SSRI, but push through. You might feel the side effects first, but push through and keep going. You're likely to respond. That gives the patient an additional assurance. And that's going to help you convince your patients to actually adhere and stay on the drug. So there's that thing too. So it's two sides, right? You're saving the patients who will not respond to this. You're saving them the time and the trial and error and the back and forth. And you can prescribe something else. But the ones who are likely to respond, you're giving them assurance that this test is assuring me that you are likely to respond to this drug. So hang in there, push through the side effects, and you'll start to see the effects of the drug improving your symptoms. So that's an important thing that it's also providing as well.
That's really important because yes, sometimes we do quit a trial just because of side effects, especially if we're not sure what we're getting at the end of it. But thank you for highlighting that. I think that's an important thing for us to take away from this as well. So of course, I'm going to throw in the catchphrase precision psychiatry. That's what's hot right now in psychiatry as a field. It's the last frontier as we're trying to figure out new ways to be more precise in treating patients. And there have been other things, right? There are other tools that we have right now that kind of people have been using. I'm not going to name any brand names, but we have other tools on the market right now that people use to try and really mostly see about side effects of medications for the most part. They give us a side effect profile, but nothing really, I think, and if I'm correct, nothing really is really promising to give us a response, predict response for us just yet. Or is there?
That's a very good question. So there are tests on the market, and just like you, I won't name brands, but I will talk generally about a class of tests called pharmacogenomics tests, for example, right? Not a brand name. Pharmacogenomics tests are also looking at what we call biomarkers in a sense. They're looking at the DNA, right? So these tests look at a patient's DNA, and based on the patient's DNA makeup, can tell you, oh, this patient is very likely to metabolize this particular drug. They often are marketed like, oh, you should prescribe this drug for your depression patient because they'll respond properly. But in reality, those tests are not looking at response. They're looking
to do a lot of education for patients on that. When people tell me, can you do this? It's going to tell me what was going to work. And I'm like, nope, all it's telling us is side effects.
They're very good in their own way, right? They're very helpful. Like you said, they can tell you whether you're likely to have side effects. They can tell you information on what the dosage is, right? They can say, okay, based on how well you metabolize this drug, here's how much I should prescribe for you, here's the dose you should do. So they do have their place and they do have their value. But I think the important thing for patients and providers is to know that they do not actually say anything about response. They do not say anything about response. They cannot be used to say how you will respond to this drug. Whereas ours actually does talk about response, and our clinical studies have shown it, that if you have lower levels of this circular RNA before you even start getting treatment, you are much likely to respond. And we've shown it by actual symptoms, right? So you guys, the physicians, will ask them questions. The HAM-D17 is what was used in our studies, and you'll ask the patient questions on their symptoms, and you actually see a 50% reduction in symptoms of patients who were identified as highly likely to respond. So that's the big difference between our test and others that are currently on the market that are being used, for prescription for depression.
So that it's really important. It's a really highly important data point, and even with what's on the market now, this could be like synergistic in a way where we're predicting response. We're also looking at pharmacogenomics and other testing to then tell us about side effects, who's likely to have, of course, side effects based on this profile. And so they can actually it's another tool, like MindLight is another tool in our toolbox that gives us new information that we don't currently have, at least as far as being able to predict stuff. So that's really cool. And I also wanted to highlight that this is super new, right? You all just launched last month, brand new, hot off the presses. We just launched last month. The company is new. Company's been around for about 4 years, but we've just launched a month ago. So it's all new. And yeah, we're excited. Yeah, that's really cool. So of course, if I were a patient, I'm listening, I have depression, or I've been treated with SSRIs or similar class, and I'm thinking, how can I get this? When can I get this product? How can I get this testing?
First thing I'll say is just go to our website, right? Go to our website for our test, which is at www.mindlighttest.com, or just even mindlighttest.com will take you to our website. If you scroll on that page, it has all the information on the testing. In the patient section, there's a button you can click that says take the next step, and you just fill out a form. You provide your name, you provide your email, maybe your phone number, and we will reach out to you and provide you with materials that you can take to your doctor, right? So a patient cannot order this test on their own, right? They need a physician to order the test. But we can provide you with information that you can take to your physician, or you can even go to your physician and ask about this test. And they can come to our website as well and click a button, order MindLight. Physicians can order, fill out the form, and somebody from our customer services will be in touch with the physician and help them set up an account and help them start ordering. Yeah.
So on the patient end, though, aside from that, is it like a test that's available right now in the common labs, the Quest and the Lab4, or is it special to your lab? I know that some of the other tests on the market right now, like they can deliver packages to the home with cheeks, but this is a blood test, so people have to go somewhere to get the blood drawn, right?
Yes, they do have to go somewhere to get their blood drawn. So physicians who have a phlebotomist in their practice, it's very simple. Once they say they want to order the test, we provide them with the kits free of charge. We'll ship the kits to the physician's office. They'll have it free of charge. When the patient walks in, they just fill their requisition. Their phlebotomist draws the blood and ships it to our lab. For those physicians who do not have a phlebotomist in their practice, we are willing to work with physicians right now. So physicians who are interested in ordering, reach out to us. We will set it up so that you can have phlebotomy either come to your practice at certain times. Maybe we can work it out with you. Or there are other labs that we are contracted in different regions of the country that we're contracted with that you can send your patients to. So it would really be a case-by-case physician depending on where the physician is located. But we're happy to work with physicians to provide that service to them.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people will be motivated to do this step and go where they need to really get this information to help themselves. So that's really good. Another question that comes up, and I don't know if you have that quite handy right now, I don't want to ambush you with it, but a question that comes up also a lot is costs. We know that new products take a while to get covered by insurance. Where is MindLight on that spectrum, and what do costs look like? How are people paying for this?
So right now it's not covered by insurance. That is definitely in our plan. We're doing the studies and the work necessary to get insurance reimbursement sometime next year. So right now the patient would have to pay for the test. The patient would have to pay themselves for the test. Our pricing right now for patient pay is $4.99, but because we're a new test and we're motivated and we're interested in getting new clients and patients to try this test, and we know that once physicians start ordering it, they'll see the value. Right now, any physician that's interested in setting up an account, we have great discounts available for the first few months of ordering the test. So that's something we can work with for any practices that want to start ordering this. We have some great discounts. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's really good to hear. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be excited by that.
Yeah.
All right. So just to summarize, because in case anyone's just joining us late or catching this in the middle, Dr. Banke is a molecular and cellular biologist. She's been telling us about this really cool new thing that they have in the market in the precision psychiatry realm of things that's helping to predict who's going to respond well to SSRIs. So who should bother with SSRIs or who should just not waste time with it and move on, essentially. So that's what we've been talking about, and how to get it and how to get it ordered. So we're going to move on a little bit more to some other fun things. What are 3 things? So if I were a patient listening or anyone listening today, what are 3 things I can do today or changes I can make to start improving?
All right, very simple things. One of the things I think is important is what makes people happy? What makes you happy? Let's find out what makes you happy. And let's see if you can set aside time whenever possible to do what makes you happy, right? For me, what makes me happy is expensive. I love the theater. I love Broadway. Broadway is expensive. As much as I'd love to do it every week, I can't. But I do always try to make sure, even if I can't do it every week, I almost always have the next show scheduled so that I have something to look forward to, right? So find what makes you happy, plan for it, put it into your life. If it's weekly, if it's monthly, whatever it is, always have that to look forward to. That's one thing. Another thing that I think has actually helped me, and I don't know if people use it a lot, is I think it's called the meditation. I think it's a meditation tool or app on the Apple Watch that it's like once a day or 3 times a day, you take a minute to breathe in and out. But it's almost like you just calm yourself down, breathe in, breathe out, do that. It's a very simple thing that you can do once in a while just to ground yourself. So I think that's one thing you can do to improve your health. And I firmly believe that exercise is great for the mental health. I don't know, there's just something about getting up early,
data backed,
getting into the gym, taking a brisk walk, whatever it is that actually just improves the overall day. So I think those are 3 things, right? Find what makes you happy, plan time for it as often as you can, use some of these apps or devices to take time to meditate every day, and stay fit, stay healthy, stay active. I think those are 3 things.
Completely agree. Thank you for sharing that. And movement and activity have a lot of data, and to support the fact that they do help us feel good and improve our mental health on an ongoing basis. I'm a huge believer as well. Thank you for sharing that with us. And one last thing, something fun about you, random?
Yeah. Jumping off the last thing. Fun thing is I love the theater. I love live theater most. I love movies and TV too, but live theater, musicals, plays, Broadway shows, I love them, and I always find time to go when I can. And I think there's just something about those 2-3 hours of, it's almost as escaping from reality, right? You're lost in this story, in this musical, in this laughter and this happiness, and it just really lifts my mood. I usually go with a friend or a family member and always pair it with a meal before or after, which is why I said it's not so affordable, so I don't do it as often as I like. But I always like to have that planned, always have something in the works so that I have that to look forward to. So that's just a fun thing about me. I think in another life I might have been an actor.
Oh wow.
but no acting for me.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing about that, and thank you so much for telling us about MindLight today. You've answered this already, how we can find you online. I think it's mindlighttest.com. We're gonna right? Is that accurate?
MindLightTest.com.
Okay.
You can also phone, if you want to phone our customer service. That's easy phone number 505-542-4440. But MindLight,
it's on your website, right?
It's all on our website. So if you just go to that webpage, you'll find all the information. MindLightTest.com.
We'll link it in the show notes so that if someone wants to click and go there, it would be an easier way for them to do that. All right. Thank you again for joining us, taking the time. Thank you everyone who's listening. I hope you found one or two things you can take home about helping anyone who's suffering from depression and needs SSRIs or is considering SSRIs. MindLight there. And Dr. Banke has also shared 3 ways with us today that we can, 3 things we can start doing right away that we can use to improve our general mental health. That would be all. I hope that we've all learned something. I definitely have. Thank you again, Dr. Banke, for taking the time, and have a wonderful day ahead. That'll be all.
Thank you for having me. It was great being here. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to share this with a friend or two. Until next time, it's Dr. Bolanle on the Bright Minds MD and Your Mental Health podcast. Ciao.